happening, guys? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. I listened to a really interesting podcast with Dr. Amen, who is a child psychologist and just a expert on the brain. He's scanned over 200,000 brains, and he helps us understand different types of trauma and brain health, also nutrition and brain health, different types of lifestyle choices and how that affects the brain. And this is a really important point because so many things are influenced by our brain. The health of our brain can be a huge factor in our overall experience in this life. And so I personally take this very seriously and try to create a very good environment for my brain. And there's a point, he's talking with Jay Shetty, which is a really nice guy who has studied the Vedas and is quite educated and insightful in a lot of these holistic health practices. It's a great one if you want to check out his podcast. So he gave a little bit of insight into the way that you feel when something pleasurable happens to you, or you engage in some kind of pleasurable activity, like say you go out for some ice cream, or you listen to certain types of music, and it's making you feel good. It's fun, it's tasty, whatever it might be. And my understanding of this, my conclusion, and we've talked about a lot of this on this show, is that it's that the state of your body, which of course includes your brain, and then of course your consciousness, which is, it's like your mental state, and going a little bit deeper into spiritual life, the state of your heart. That's how you'll be able to appreciate different levels of pleasure or different types of pleasure. So some people that are eating a lot of sugar, or they're doing something that's not good for their long-term health, they get a lot of pleasure from that activity in the moment. And they wouldn't get pleasure necessarily from sacrificing that to do something that's going to give them long-term benefits. That's the difference. That's the main thing. So for me, I actually get a lot of pleasure. It's not the same type of pleasure as the quick, temporary pleasure, but it's a deeper pleasure that comes from me sacrificing what my tongue may want, or what my ears may want, or what my mind is telling me to do something that's actually truly caring for myself, or even caring for others. Sometimes I'll sacrifice my own pleasure to take care of someone else, or to take care of myself in the long term. So this is actually a skill, in a sense, that you can develop. Your biochemistry, your physiology, your consciousness will change as you engage in different activities. This is happening in real time all the time. So if you're smoking cigarettes, or you're taking some type of drug, you're drinking alcohol, you're eating too much sugar, you're going to be adjusting your consciousness and your biochemistry at every moment to some degree. And conversely, you drink some fresh squeezed celery juice like I had this morning, you go to the gym, you take a walk outside and breathe the fresh air and look at the blue sky, you engage in some meditation. This is also doing the same thing, but it's doing the same thing in the sense that it's gently nudging your biochemistry and your consciousness in a particular direction at every moment, everything that you do. So what are your actual values? Your values are just to have that temporary pleasure in the moment, but then you're going to suffer down the road? Or are your values that I will restrain myself, and overall I will have a much better life, a much more stable, secure, deeply meaningful life? So this is our strategy to build this muscle of restraint and purify our intelligence by these activities so that we truly are intelligent enough. And this isn't the type of intelligence where, you're going to do really good on a test, where you can figure out a physics problem or something like that. It's not that type of intelligence. It's the intelligence that gives you the perception and the insight into what is going to be best for me in the long term. And also, how can I be the type of person that I want to be, that's going to be serving others in a meaningful way. Creating an environment for generations to come by infusing values and healthy habits into other people so that the overall environment of the whole entire planet actually is improving. This is the domino effect. This is that ripple effect that happens when you decide that you're going to become more controlled and more intentional and overall better and healthier. This sends a ripple of energy out into the universe. And then couple that's just the energy that you're pulsating. That's the energy that's actually emanating from you. So that's the start. And that does have an effect. It has a subtle effect. People will notice that as you just walk down the street. Each person kind of has their own energetic field. Some people are angry, some people are happy, some people are depressed, some people are highly motivated, some people are lazy. And we're often affected by these people in subtle ways. But then couple that with action and words. Now you're creating an even stronger effect. Now you're really touching people's lives and giving people deeper understanding and concepts they have maybe never heard before, or motivations, because wow, that sounds like this person is onto something. That's what's happened to me. Someone that's leading a life that's superior to mine. They obviously are more competent, more confident, healthier, more motivated, higher energy, more peaceful, healthier, just whatever. I'm attracted to these things, and so then I implement things in my life that they do, and I'll get similar results. Maybe not as quick, maybe quicker, maybe not exactly the same, but it's similar. You start eating better, you start paying attention to things like going outside and getting some sunshine and getting some fresh air and having a good attitude about life. What does life have to offer me? What is my potential? What opportunities are there out there for me to improve and to give? That's the type of attitude you have. That's the type of seed that you planted in your mind that's growing into, one day, if you water it and give it sunshine, a robust, strong tree that's rooted deep. This is who you'll become if you plant that seed and take care of it. It's similar in spiritual life. In the Bhakti yoga process, they talk about planting the seed. The first seed that's planted, and the most important seed, is when you practice the mantra meditation. And then you nurture the seed by continuing to practice the mantra meditation and other practices as well. And it becomes a seed of devotion and love and service. And this is just the most wonderful experience. And this is in those ancient Vedas that we talk about. So this is a switch. It's a switch of consciousness. It's a switch of values. And it's going to be difficult in the beginning. Like if you have a big ship, you're the captain of the ship. When you start to turn the wheel on the ship, that ship does not turn that much in the beginning. It takes some time to reorient in another direction because it's so large. So depending on where you're at, how much have you developed the current consciousness that you're in? Have you been addicted to so many temporary sense pleasures that's really the majority of where your pleasure is coming from? When's the next spike of dopamine? When's the next spike of those neurochemicals that make you feel good? The alcohol, the sugar, the caffeine, whatever it may be. Are you just riding those little waves, coming up and coming down and coming up and coming down constantly? Or have you caught on to another wave? And that's the wave of constant pleasure. That's the eternal wave that you're riding, that's just making you feel just right all the time. Doesn't mean that you're not going to be sad if a loved one passes away or something happens across the world that touches your heart. You know, maybe there's a war or a famine or there's something. You're going to experience that, but it's not going to shake you to the core. It's not going to break you, because you've built this wave, and there's strength in that. But there's not strength in those small spikes. You won't be able to lean on that. That's the problem with that. Those things won't come to save you. They won't come and serve you. They won't come and help you. That's not their job. They don't have the capability of doing that. That sugar rush is not going to come and serve you down the road at all. It's actually going to take you down into a lower vibrational state. Skipping the gym or whatever workouts you like to do, that's not going to come and serve you when you need them. But all these other things that I talk about, that's what's going to serve you when things get hard, when things get dark, when things are not going the way that you thought they would go. And this is a really, really big deal, because things will happen. You could be on your deathbed. You could have some problem with your health as you get older, and you're going to be able to lean heavily on what you've built. But if you haven't built anything, there's nothing to lean on, and you're going to feel lost, and it's going to be a serious problem. And the ultimate way I found is through your spiritual practice. That's the eternal one. These other temporary ones, your physical health, your financial stability, your personal relationships, these are all smaller structures to lean on throughout your entire life. But the ultimate one, the one that I've found is the most important that I'm trying to develop, is the spiritual one. And we can talk more and more about the different Bhakti Yoga processes, and there's all kinds of bona fide spiritual meditation processes since time immemorial from so many different disciplines that you can choose from. This is just the one that has shown to be the most significant for me, the most effective, and honestly the easiest as well. This one happens to be simple and very effective. There's a lot of complicated diets out there. There's a lot of complicated workout plans and things like that. But a lot of times, if you just find one that's easy, it's easy in the sense that it's not complicated. It's simple to understand it. It can be hard to implement it because you're addicted to a different lifestyle. And so your body and mind are rebelling. But it's not complicated to understand. You don't have to study a lot to figure it out. It's the same thing with the Bhakti Yoga. The mantra meditation is the core of it, and that's very easy. You can just walk, you can sit in the park, you can be with family and friends, and you can practice these beautiful mantras and feel a great sense of peace, and it just builds and builds. All right, have a good one. Aloha.